Hello and welcome to Greg's Garage. Well, we're off shooting another story, but we thought we would throw this rewind your way. A couple months ago, Eric Buell Racing, or EBR, based in East Troy, Wisconsin, hosted a press launch of their highly anticipated EBR 1190RX, which we'll show you in a minute. But while we were there, they rolled out the EBR 1190SX for us to take a look at. It's the naked version of the 1190RX. Check this video out. At the time, they didn't tell us much, but we are headed to the EBR headquarters in Wisconsin to get a ride on it. We'll have that story very soon. Until then, first ride on the EBR 1190RX.
1190RX, 185 horsepower, 108 foot-pounds of torque, the highest in its class. It gives us great emissions, good fuel economy, and it's just an easy-to-ride bike. Center of gravity real low, fuel's in a tank, low sprung weight on the front end, and we think it's both a street bike and a race bike like in here in Indy.
There's a few things that are unique about the 1190RX, including the mid-range torque that we've designed into the platform. But on the chassis side, there's a few things that we do are unique. And they're driven by a couple of key principles we have. We really like low unsprung weight at the wheels so that the wheels do a very good job following the road. That gives great feedback to the rider and makes the bike predictable to the rider. So to that end, we've designed very light wheels, but also very light braking systems, including an inside-out front brake system that we have for this bike that consists of one rotor, one massy, beefy caliper, and it's transferring the torque load of braking directly to the wheel rim rather than making it go through the hub of the wheel and the whole wheel. That allowed us to take 8 pounds off the front wheel assembly, which makes, again, lets the tire track along the road more comfortably and better. So that's one feature. Another thing is we needed torsional rigidity in the chassis. We need the front wheel and the rear wheel to be aligned in all riding conditions, no matter what kind of bumps the rider is going over. That helps make the bike steer very predictably and makes it very predictable. To do that, we needed to have a very stiff frame and a very stiff swing arm. Relative to the frame, it's an aluminum design. It's got big hollow section beams that go on each side of the engine, and we actually put the fuel inside the frame in those beams. Because the beam space was available, we needed a place to put the fuel, and we wanted the fuel to be as low as possible on the motorcycle because we want the center of gravity to be low on the motorcycle so that it makes it easy to tilt the bike from right to left we call it flickable, makes the bike very flickable, and it makes the bike very stable under braking and under acceleration. And as the fuel weight changes, because the fuel load changes, it doesn't change the handling of the bike. The bike handling stays very much the same with 1 gallon of fuel as it is with 4 gallons of fuel. There's quite an electronics package on this motorcycle. We actually call it the vehicle control system. And it not only controls the fuel injection system for all normal riding conditions, but in addition to that, it has a traction control system and wheelie control system that's rider adjustable. So the rider has 21 settings to choose from, off plus 20 settings, and you can tune the bike. The rider can tune the bike from being very mild, where it won't wheelie at all, and the rear tire, you can't spin up the rear tire in any kind of rain or gravel conditions, to one where you can wheelie it as high as you want, and you can spin the tire up quite a lot.
Now you know the specs, it's time for the riding impressions of the EBR 1190RX, okay? It is a really fun motorcycle to ride. The first thing you notice is what the engineers talked about, the center of gravity, how easy this motorcycle wants to transition from side to side. The ergonomics are great. I mean, they fit me no problem. It's a super bike, you know, it's not meant to really go out and just do 7 hours worth of riding. We got to ride in all conditions here, which is great because we got to try out the traction control. All the way from level 15, it goes to 20, but 15 down to 3, you can feel the difference instantly, and it's a great aid for confidence building. But when it comes to that braking system, that's the thing that's very interesting about it, because for me personally, it didn't give me the initial bite as soon as you roll off the throttle and grab a handful that some of the other systems give you. But where it does shine is in the ability to trail brake. The confidence you have in leaning this motorcycle over on the brakes into a corner, especially on a damp road, you can feel so much through that brake lever and be really connected to the road. But look, don't just take my word for it. Let's talk to some of the other guys that were here riding it and see what they have to say.
The bike is amazing. This morning it rained, so we had a really good chance to test the electronics, the traction control system, 21 settings including off, and I started off in level 15 and was amazed by the amount of grip that I had, and I've worked my way down to 10 and then 5. Every level has worked as I expected it to, and that's really the standout of this bike, I think, is the electronics, the traction control, what EBR has been able to do with a system that they've programmed themselves, basically.
It's a visceral experience. You get on the gas and, you know, it talks to you. That motor is just ferocious when it wants to be.
The bike just feels really light, like in a transition. If you want to get aggressive, as the track started dry, you can kind of get more aggressive through a transition and flick from left to right. And it feels really light as you go from one side to the other, and I think that's an important aspect of the motorcycle.
For me, probably the biggest thing about the bike is just the chassis. Like EBR has legitimately, like this bike, chassis-wise, is on par with a CBR 1000RR. Like that's a huge statement saying that it's at that level. It's just unbelievably balanced. It's easy to ride, man. Like we showed up here, it was pouring down rain on a track that we've never ridden, and immediately just like going for it, like no problem. Like easy bike to get a feel for. It's easy on the tires, easy. It's just really easy motorcycle to ride. Like we say that a lot, but it's true, this bike's easy to ride.
$1190RX is $18,995. We've got about 80 dealers right now. We're in most of the major markets. Our goal is to be about 100 dealers by the end of 2014.